Chabahar port has been under discussion again. And why? Because it happens to be one of the most strategic investments that India has made overseas over the past few decades. And it was one port that has been discussed more than anyone else, just because of the strategic importance of the port and also its significance not only for India Iran ties, but also its importance for India's ties with Central Asia. Now, while the Chabahar port was unable to reach its potential despite being so strategic and so geographically important for India and the countries involved vis a vis Iran, Afghanistan, and also other Central Asian countries, we are going to be discussing what the future holds for the Chabahar port and why, while there have been discussions about it being destroyed and its maritime tower being damaged by the US in airstrikes which the Iranian state media has now confirmed has attacked the Chabahar port thrice now. It remains to be seen that the discussion around the port has only grown, and it is now clear that India is not going to abandon its stake in the port any sooner. And to discuss all of this, I have with me someone who has seen the concept and the development of the port firsthand. I have with me former head of the Shipping Corporation of India, Arun Kumar Gupta ji, who was also the first MD of IGPL, the India Ports Global Private Limited, which happens to be an Indian entity that was created to ensure that India starts shipping abroad and starts investing in other ports. Thank you so much, Gupta sir, for joining us. I think there is no better person to speak on the issue than you. You've seen it firsthand. Just take us through the initial history of the port, and then, of course, we had the great, the great statesmanship of our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, under whom this project became a reality. So please highlight all of that, sir.
Thank you, Shikha, for having me in. Uh, I'll try to recollect what best I can. I completed my tenure with the project after 5 years in somewhere August or September 2020. Anyway, I'll try to do justice. Yes, you are right. Well, for me, this project has been very close to my heart, not only because it was a success story for me personally, but I learned a lot. Rubbing shoulders with the bureaucrats and learning from them. You're very right. India was always interested in Chabahar port. Yes, in the first India government, I think Ved Prakash Goyal was the shipping minister, I remember. And he had visited Iran in 2002. And 2002, huh? Remember, 2002. Hmm? So that time also I was in Iran, not for this project, but I was deputed by Shipping Corporation of India to Irano Hind Shipping Company. So Indian minister coming, I have to be there and all. And that time also there were talks about Chabahar port.
Right.
But then there were only talks, things did not go further. Then in 2014, again, when the second NDA government came, a push was given. I was involved with the project right from signing of the MOU. MOU was signed in May 2015 by none other than Honorable Minister for Shipping, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. That time he had even the shipping with him apart from road transport and all. And well, and then after signing the MOU, on our way back on the flight, it was an Indian Air Force flight, and the secretary and the additional secretary and Mr. Gadkari and his PS saw that I'm so familiar with Iran and Iran that I can understand Farsi also, having
Right.
stayed. So I was asked, Mr. Gupta, what will you do after retirement? I said, I have not thought.
Right.
So they told me, we have thought for you. So somewhere in June or July 2015, they gave me additional charge of this company, IPGPL.
Okay.
Okay. So I was officiating as additional charge. And the task given to me was this MOU has to be converted into a contract. It was a Herculean task. Many visits to Tehran, didn't know how to start, where to start. Even in Iranian bureaucracy, we had lot of difficulties. Despite then Ambassador Mr. DP Srivastava helping us, but finally we started making headway. Let me tell you, in this IGPL, India Ports Global Private Limited, it was a private company, and 51% shares were with GNPT Port and 49 with Kandla Port. So I got lot of help in negotiating the contract from one Mr. Neeraj Bansal, who was that time deputy chairman of GNPT Port, and then I believe he shifted to Adani's, a very good friend and a very knowledgeable officer. Had he not been there, it would have been very difficult for me. Shipping for me was no problem, but port sector, yes, he helped me a lot. Anyway, we succeeded in translating that agreement into a contract. We had deadlines. Once my secretary, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, told both of us that you both will not come back from Tehran till this is done.
Right. That was so
And we both
important.
were vegetarian. It was a punishment for us. Anyway, and mind you, I was still running SCI, and to run SCI, which was again that
Yes, yes,
time
absolutely.
not
Your
doing well
humongous
financially.
task to do
Yeah,
both the
yeah,
jobs
yeah.
together.
So anyway, so the contract was signed in 2016, May 2016. Prime Minister Modi came, and the contract was signed. At the same time, another contract was signed with Afghanistan, trilateral contract. So all was going well. Then in the contract, for the contract to get implemented, there were conditions precedent. The contract was for 10 years. There were certain conditions to be fulfilled by us, certain conditions to be fulfilled by Iran. And both of us that time could not fulfill those conditions because after the contract signing, the sanctions came. In this contract, there was a commitment that India will give $150 million assistance to Iran for purchasing, for developing Chabahar port. When I talk about Chabahar port, I mean Shahid Bahishti port. Okay. And India itself will equip the port by buying equipments worth $85 million. So 150 plus 85, that was a commitment in the contract. I can't go deep into whatever things, but whatever said, either side could not proceed further because of the sanctions. Both sides could not com- uh, fulfill their
Fulfill
obligations.
their commitments, yeah.
What was in the so the for the contract to begin. Anyway, then the Iranian side told us, uh, why don't you start operations? Leave this 10-year contract aside. We will see how to deal with it later, but you start short term operations. We said, Fair enough. Then again, for the short term contract, also negotiations were done. They were not so painful as the first one. I learned my ropes by that time. Pressure of American sanctions started building up. GNPT and Kandla were stakeholders. I wrote to the ministry that GNPA and Kandla have got lot of international exposure and we must insulate them.
Right.
And then the Ministry of Shipping and Ministry of External Affairs decided yes, GNPA and Kandla must exit as shareholders. Sagarmala company came into the picture
Okay.
and they took over the entire shares. And that is how IPGPL became IPGL. The private word was removed. Again, it was a Herculean task for me, both in India and in Iran. Ministry of Corporate Affairs to get the shareholders changed and all. Anyway, we did everything. And finally, if I remember, we started operations on 25th December 2018.
Right.
The first ship we handled was Macaranas, something like that, Macaranas. It was carrying corn from somewhere in South America or South
Yeah, it was
Africa.
a South American company, ironically.
Yeah. So operation started, I said 25th December 2018 uh, from MEA Joint Secretary Mr. Deepak Mittal was there. He was another very fine who guided me, a very fine person, always supportive. 2019 we started sending cargoes to Afghanistan. See, basically, Chabahar port was for reconstruction of Afghanistan. Okay, to help the people of Afghanistan.
Right.
And initially, US also was interested that अफगानिस्तान में डेवलपमेंट हो सब कुछ हो as long as
Yeah.
President Ghani was there, Abdul Ghani and all,
Right.
things were all right. Then Taliban came.
Yes.
Then America also lost interest in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And they lost interest in Chabahar also. So what tacit approval India had for Chabahar port, the understanding was there for Chabahar port, faded away. I remember American embassy in Delhi gave us some letter about exceptions to Chabahar port, but
Right.
that did not help the trade. And no banks, no opening of LCs, nothing was
Yes.
possible. No one wanted to touch. Even Indian vessels, Indian flag vessels,
Could not
would not.
make it to their own port, possibly.
Anyway, trade was going on a little bit. Chal raha tha, no problem. The major part of the trade was for Iranian import and for Afghanistan. Then export was also there. And let me tell you, Chabahar port doesn't have any infrastructure for petroleum products.
Interesting. Yeah.
Nothing. So we were handling only containers or dry bulk cargo.
You mean fruits, dry fruits?
I'll come back here. I'll come back. But let me go back a bit. Little. Maybe my thoughts are jumbled. Coming back to the contract when I said 150 plus 85 million. See, Shahid Bahishti port plan was in four phases. Big plans for development, and this is plan. This was phase one. In phase one, also, we did not have the full terminal. We had two berths, or whatever you say, one berth of 640 and one berth of 600 meters length. So 1240-meter length of waterfront we had. Hmm. Two big vessels or three small vessels could accommodate. And draft was good, 16 meters and 14 meters. Plus, we had a backup area, if I remember correctly, of 70 hectares. Hmm. So, complete Shahid Bahishti phase one was not with us. Only part of it, the major part was with us. And that contract was the 10-year contract, what we signed in May 2016, was for operating and equipping. Oh, you
Yeah.
stopped me.
We were mentioning about the the fact that there
Wow,
has no
what cargo? So operation
yeah, yeah.
started. A lot of pharmaceuticals were being imported from India. Uh, Food grains, rice, sugar, corn, etc. from other countries. मतलब कि all humanitarian cargo was being imported
And
from.
I think even livestock was being
Yes,
traded.
livestock. हाँ, हमने बकरियां भी हाँकी हैं. I was in a such a I have never handled livestock in my life, and I saw that and how to handle them, उनको हाँकना वगैरह. ठीक है. It all went well livestock. Lot of project cargo was also we handled, despite our limitations of not having the correct type of cranes and all. We did tandem operations because Chabar has got a big free zone behind it. Chabar free zone.
Okay.
I don't remember the area, but very big free zone. The contract had also, apart from the contract, there was another contract signed in, MOU was signed in May 2015. May 2015, another MOU was signed between Iranian authorities and IRCON for construction of railway line from Chabahar to Zaidan. Unfortunately, due to sanctions and all, I feel so, that did not take off at all.
Right.
Difficulties were there, and Iran started धीरे धीरे अपना छोटा मोटा कर रहे थे. When I last went there,
Mhm.
they were trying to make the railway line, but India had promised to make the railway line.
Is it the Chabahar Zahedan railway link?
Zaidan railway line, Chabar
Okay.
Zaidan railway line. So Zaidan is
Right.
already connected to the railway network, and from
Right.
there the goods could go. Let me tell you, in Iran, the railway network is quite poor,
Okay.
and roads are very good. Roads are very good. So coming back to the cargo, yes, in February 19, the flow of cargo started. India sending aid plus traders sending their cargoes to Afghanistan through Chabahar. People were very happy. I was in close touch with the Afghanistan consulate in Mumbai, and we used to
Okay.
work in tandem. There was a need for sending fruits and they are perishable. So we made provision for refrigerated containers also, everything we did. And a lot of concessions we gave, whatever we could. Our objective was not to make money. Our objective was to promote the trade.
Okay.
Every project has a gestation period. Concessions we tried to give. And
Right.
of course, ministry was very supportive on whatever I recommended.
Right.
because I could see the ground reality. Because cargoes were being sent through Pakistan also, and we have to break that thing, do a cost analysis through Chabar and do a cost analysis through Karachi. And let
Okay.
me tell you, Afghanistanis were more comfortable with Chabar than with Karachi.
With Karachi, yes.
They used to complain to me that our cargo is stuck there, this, that.
The way you mentioned about Afghanistan, and this clearly shows that Chabahar is a very, very strategically important and a very significant port for
I'll
India,
come to that. I'll come to that.
Afghanistan trade, and also the India Central Asia trade. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Please go ahead.
Whatever ships were calling, there were no Indian flag vessels. They were vessels of either Iranian flag or some ships of flag of convenience, Belize, etc. So they were small ships, no big business, but still it was good enough. Things were starting, and we were just hoping the sanctions will not last forever.
Right,
We could not import 85 million ka jo, what I told, 85 million US dollar investment for equipping the port. We had a lot of difficulty because of sanctions to get the equipment. Basically, for any container terminal, ship to shore crane, or as we call it, RMQC, that is more important. And we had shortlisted the Chinese company ZPMC,
okay,
but they also backed out, and no one supplied us those cranes. But somehow we managed to get 6 cranes from Italy. They
okay,
were not the container handling cranes, they were mobile harbor handling cranes. So, anyway, I think out of 85 million, we must have purchased equipment worth around 25 million, if I remember correct. And
okay.
rest we were not successful because of sanctions. See, all the problem was sanctions.
Sanctions, yeah.
For anyone, Chabar business is very small. Any vendor, anyone, any bank, and they would not like to touch us, even with the barge pole. They used to see the bigger picture. Now, coming to strategic importance of Chabar for India, it was a counter to Gwadar.
Yes,
It was a counter that Afghanistan should lean on India instead of Pakistan to give
right,
Afghanistan an alternative, a viable, cost-effective alternative. India had done a lot to in contributed a lot for reconstruction of Afghanistan. We had made a ring road in Afghanistan
right,
connecting 4 major cities: Gandhar, Mazar-e-Sharif, Kabul, Dilaram, and from Zaidan, Jaranj border or Jabul border. So trucks used to cross over, which is the border between the two countries, to see the grievances of the traders about the waiting period, custom clearance, and all.
right.
I made a lot of effort to sort out their grievances. For India, again, you must have heard of INSTC, International North South Corridor.
Right,
When it was initially envisaged, it was through Bandar Abbas.
right.
Obviously, Chabar is closer to India
Mm-hmm.
than Bandar Abbas, and Bandar Abbas is inside Strait of Hormuz. Distance from Kandla to Chabar is hardly 550 nautical miles,
Okay,
and from Bombay or JNPT to Kandla is if I remember correctly, about 786 nautical miles.
right.
So
Very close,
proximity,
basically.
very close, very close. So, and well, I used to attend those meetings also, INSTC meetings, and then slowly both Iranian side and Indian sides, there are 11 or 12 countries in that protocol, INSTC protocol, and we were pushing for the eastern corridor of INSTC.
Right.
That was through Chabahar. Chabahar is on the Makran coast of Iran. Very strategic because it is so much away from Hormuz.
Right.
And Iran had thought of it was developing Chabahar for such a situation. If suppose something happens and Strait of
Yes.
Hormuz is closed, and they will help this port.
And that's what we are witnessing at the moment, and which is why the US has been attacking
Exactly.
Chabahar, and it has already done it thrice now, as confirmed by Iranian media.
Yeah. Now, I had very close relations with my Iranian counterparts, even in the bureaucracy that time in their MFA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all. Very fine people. And still, I'm in touch with them over WhatsApp and all. I pray for their welfare. What I understand that no Indian is there at present for obvious reason, but for
Yes.
on our behalf, the local company is running the port.
Would really want to ask you, just because of the very fact that Chabahar sits out of the Strait of Hormuz, like you pointed out that it did not really have, the infrastructure to transport petroleum. Can that be a possibility now, given the fact that there is so much of difficulty via the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz has become a bone of contention in this entire conflict? Now, can there be any point where the Chabahar can be seen as an alternative, and petroleum and related products can also be seen to be exported from there? And although I mean, of course, at the moment there have been three strikes at the port, so clearly we are understanding that this is a major target of the United States of America, because its Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth himself has shared a picture of a completely destroyed maritime tower. So, what does this mean for the future of this port, sir?
Maritime tower being destroyed is not a big thing. It can always be reconstructed. The tower just guides the ship,
Okay.
no problem. Now, let me tell you about the petroleum products. As long as I was there, in the free trade zone, there was a petrochemical complex.
Okay.
But by and large, in Shahid Vaishni port, there was no oil. There was no pipeline for oil, nothing. And as you know, leave Chabar. Otherwise, also Iran has got so much of natural gas,
Right.
the parts field, hmm,
Yes.
which is common with Qatar, and Qatar is has put a straw which is common to with Iran and Qatar, and Qatar has put a straw and sucking all the gas away and exporting. Qatar is virtually the capital of international capital for natural gas.
Mhm.
And the Western countries, especially America, has never allowed Iran to have that technology to
Right.
liquefy the natural gas. Iran, whatever natural gas Iran had, they were using it domestically.
Right.
They had a pipeline to Turkey. That's all, and that gas was being used to re-inject into the oil fields to increase the oil production.
Okay.
But in future, what will happen? I think there is a port not very close to Chabar, but on the Makran coast only, and away from Strait of Hormuz, Asulaya.
Okay.
If you see on the map, Asulaya, that
Right.
is a oil hub, and especially for natural gas, which Iran wanted to develop. Asulaya,
Right.
Chabar per se nothing, and India also won't jeopardize their involvement in Chabar port by getting involved into the petroleum products. See,
Okay.
whatever tacit approval we had from USA,
Yeah.
it was for humanitarian aid for
Okay. To
Afghanistan and also
Afghanistan.
for Iran. Both the countries.
Okay.
We never imported or any iron ore, etc.
Right.
Even once the coal vessel came, I said I will not handle it because I had read all the OFAC guidelines and all. So it was all food, pharmacy, domestic products coming, washing machine, etc. from Korea, China.
Right.
So it was all for human consumption, and we
Right. Right.
India never had any intention of. We respected whatever it is. It was a diplomacy not to offend America, at the same time not to offend Iran. And
And just please elaborate on that. That, after the US exit from Afghanistan, what impact did it have on the Chabahar port per se?
as I said, we started operations on 25th December 2018,
Right.
and all was going well. Whatever, despite the sanctions, till I completed my tenure somewhere in August 20.
Right.
All was going well. Even afterwards, I think things were all right. Then the effect of US complete disinterest in Afghanistan stepped in.
Right.
Uh, and even uh, that short term contract also, every time we were renewing it for 1 year, 1.5 years. So Iranian side was not happy. Then I think that contract was again renegotiated. Initial 10-year contract, what we negotiated and we signed by in presence of Prime Minister Modi in 2016, was again renegotiated and signed in 2025 because of the sanctions.
Okay.
I have no idea about the contents of the that contract. I have no. I'd
Right.
also named my friend JNPA Deputy Chairman Neeraj Bansal.
Yeah.
And I would also like to name Mr. Alok Srivastav, who was Additional Secretary in Ministry of Shipping.
Right.
It was a great team. My 40 years in SCI and 5 years with Chabahar Port, I give more weightage to Chabahar Port.
Oh, really? And why is that?
Yeah. I learned a lot and it was challenging and it was not run of the mill.
Okay.
It was a great experience. I learned a lot and it was fun working with the Iranians. They
Okay.
were tough. They were tough. कौन नहीं टफ होता अपनी कंट्री के लिए कौन नहीं झगड़ता बट दे डू अंडरस्टैंड एंड आवर बॉन्ड्स विद इरानियंस मतलब कि हैव बीन हिस्टोरिकल
Right.
at times discussing the contract clauses. I used to give up. I said nothing doing. This is absolutely unilateral. I can't agree, and if you are not
Yeah.
budging, I can't budge. So their chief negotiator and myself used to come out. He used to tell me, Mr. Gupta, let them fight. I know what is to be done. So let them have it out.
Okay.
So
Right. Right.
wonderful people, wonderful people, wonderful people.
Right. So, sir,
Now,
I see that you are deeply invested in Iran, and it's also a very deep emotional kind of a bond that you have with Chabahar also because of the kind of and personal investment that you have done in Chabahar also. Now, even the fact that you mentioned the kind of trouble that the port has gone through because of sanctions, uh, of late, I'm sure you had been tracking the developments. Do you think that after the US exit, it had become even more difficult for the port to operate? And if at all trade was going on, what kind of a trade was happening via Shahid Behesti terminal?
it was all humanitarian cargo which was coming and going. Hmm. More was import, less was export.
The port was to have a capacity between 80 I'm told that it was around 82 million tons of annual cargo capacity that the port had envisaged, the entire port. Of course, this was envisaged only if whenever the four phases are complete. But the Shahid Behesti terminal for years back was doing a trade of only between 2.5 to 8.5 million, turning over 8 million tons and at times 90,000 TEUs of cargo. So, the potential and what we are witnessing at the moment, there's a drastic difference between the two. Do you think that, in the future, we can, sort of attempt to reach to the kind of potential that Chabahar has to offer? And is there any solution to negotiate around sanctions? Sorry.
See, 80 million per annum, what you're talking about is envisaged in the planning, I suppose. Hmm?
Right,
First of all, let me tell you, each port has a gestation period.
right,
Number one. Number two, the difficult circumstances under which we were operating.
right.
82 million is too much or three much or rather very much. But we
Okay.
are happy whatever we were doing. And please appreciate uh, India's foothold is more important than the commercial viability of the port.
Right. I
It is
wanted to
not,
understand this
as I
aspect.
told you in the beginning, as I told you in the
Yeah.
beginning, it is not a project run by Ministry of Shipping, though I was working with Ministry of Shipping, but
Mm-hmm.
it is project owned by Ministry of External Affairs.
Right.
So it was a strategic thing
Mm-hmm.
to make money or something out of it was not the intention. And as far as future of the port is concerned, sanctions will not last forever.
Okay.
कभी तो बादल छटेंगे. And I'm very confident of our bright diplomats in the MEA who are doing the balancing act. Uh, India's involvement in Chabahar port will continue. It has a bright future. As I said, strategically located, very close to India, deep drafted, away from Gulf of Hormuz. And you were talking about the recent damages to the port. What I understand, Chabahar, let's talk about Chabahar Airport. Once you come out of the Chabahar Airport, if you go west, there is a place called Konarak,
Right.
not Konark, Konarak,
Yeah.
and that's a naval base. In the TV, they were showing all wrong location. And
Okay.
if you come to the east, then you come to Chabahar
Okay.
city. So Konarak is a naval base. So possibly attack was there. And Kalantri port also attack was there. The tower, as you said, has possibly been damaged. The VTMS, as we call them, vessel traffic monitoring system, from where they
Right.
control the traffic. So that was all on the Kalantri part, and my news is that our part is untouched, is
Okay.
all intact, and there have been no casualty whatsoever.
Okay. So that's a brighter side that you are sharing with us. So if I may just ask you, from the Shahid Behesti terminal, since you have spoken to your sources in Iran, has there been any movement, not only from Behesti but also from Kalantri, now under these circumstances? Because I am told that at the moment trade is completely stopped in the entire port, and especially the Afghanis are very apprehensive to approach the port now in this under these circumstances, and they are more worried because for them Chabahar is more important than Chabahar for India even. And in fact, it is the Afghanis that say that we are at a major loss than Indians. So how do you see this situation?
Madam, at present in this situation, I was more concerned about safety of my colleagues and friends in Iran. I
Yeah.
did not ask. I don't want to ask anything about trade and all, and
Okay.
who is in any difficulty. Their safety, security is paramount, and my call to them was for that only.
Okay.
But I conclude there would not be any trade going on at present, and which would really be an agony for Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and for India and for Iran. So it is difficult times. Let us wait for clouds to clear.
Right. Sir, also would want to ask you, the Ministry of External Affairs has, after a lot of insistence from the media, finally made a statement, and they've said that they have been discussing with the United States of America the possibility of waiver of sanctions. But under the present circumstances, it is looking a very likely kind of situation. This scenario where the Defense Secretary himself of the United States is sharing a picture of the destroyed maritime tower of the Chabahar port. Uh, do you think that, the kind of situation that has been developed would ever help? The rejuvenation of Chabahar, and if the damage is limited to the Kalantri port, I have been told that the more commercial part was being handled at the Kalantri terminal and not at the Behesti terminal, like you also pointed out. We had limited trade going on from the Behesti terminal, but it was the Kalantri terminal which was handling more cargo, which was handling more commercial trade. So don't you think that it is a major damage to not only Iran, and how many countries does this impact if trade completely stops via Shahid Kalantri?
Present circumstances, definitely, as I told you, no Indians are there in Shahid Bahishti port, and the Iranian company is handling
Right.
uh, the affairs there. Please understand, Chabar only had Shahid Kalantri port in the beginning. Bahishti is a latest development. I have visited Kalantri in 2002 3 when I was in Irano Hind. So
Okay.
Bahishti port was only in the drawing board. Uh, Shahid Kalantri port is a small port, very less draft, 6 to 7 meters. Only small vessels can come, unlike Shahid Bahishti port, where the draft is 14 to 16 meters.
Okay.
So very small vessels can come. Obviously, dhows can come, DHOWS. They are little bigger boats.
Right.
So yes, and so some this dhows traffic जबल अली से काफी आता है डाउस का ट्रैफिक across. So they are not the big ships, they are the small ships, and their
Okay.
traffic might be coming. And also advantage is that one of the gates of Shahid Kalantri ports opens into the free zone.
Okay.
Kalantri port that way had a little advantage over the Bahishti port,
Right.
and though we were fighting. I was fighting, and finally we agreed that Shahid Vashti Port also must be given the status of free zone. They agreed,
Okay.
but that geographical advantage of one gate of Kalantri Port opening into straight into the free zone was we couldn't help it. We couldn't
Right.
help it. So Kalantri Port, please appreciate, is a very small port,
Okay.
very little draft, no big vessels can come, and in future it is not Kalantri, it will be Bahishti only.
Okay. Okay. Far as the movement of trade is concerned, which are going to be the other countries that, apart from Afghanistan, which would be, at the moment anxious because of the damage that has been caused to the port?
Everything comes to normal, lot of countries are interested, uh,
Okay.
starting from Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all those
Right.
countries. uh, I had interacted with them, they were very keen. So apart from the from Chabar, cargo can go up to Russia, everything, and it is a eastern corridor via land also and via Caspian Sea also. So there is immense potential. All these countries are interested.
Right. So, were we doing any trade with Russia via the Chabahar?
No, not at present, not to best of my knowledge. Not to best of my knowledge. On the contrary, Russia was trying to open a route from Chennai to what's the name of the port? I think Vladivostok.
Okay. Okay. And this was, you said that there has been interest, but still Russia went ahead with looking for another alternative route. Why do you think is this? Is it more so because of the challenges, the sanctions, or is it something else as well?
I have never heard or seen Russia involved, as I said earlier, in Chabahar port. Huh? There was always, yes, that Iranians during negotiations used to threaten me that if we don't negotiate properly, we'll give it to Chinese. So Russia was never in the picture.
Okay.
And but I'm aware some negotiations were going on in the ministry of an alternative route,
Okay.
alternative to INSTC from Chennai to Vladivostok.
Right. Since the port is under attack, trade is closed at the moment. What are your final thoughts on the existence of Chabahar port, and what would you say about the Indian stake in that port? Initially, the Indian side had in fact transferred the stake to an Iranian entity, but only on a condition that once things normalize, the stake will be back with India, which means that India is not at all interested in giving up its claim in Chabahar because we've done, number one, so much of investment, but also because, like you rightly pointed out, it is a geopolitical matter rather than a trade or an investment matter. So, the whole concept gives you sort of the reputation of Chabahar is all because of, the kind of location it has, and also because it happens to be an answer to the Gwadar port. So, but under these circumstances, do you think that, one, we have a very disturbed relation with Pakistan? On the other hand, we have the US and Iran tensions going on. In such a scenario, what is in the best interest of India? I mean, is it only a wait and watch mode that we can rely on, or is it something that we can do more? Can we negotiate with the United States of America like we are trying to do? Or is it is the situation very unlikely at the moment?
I'm not a bureaucrat, no, I am a diplomat, but I feel wait and watch is the right policy at present. And as soon as things clear, I think India will be back in Shabar. And I think we are already there.
Okay.
We are already there. We are there. And it is, but natural that safety of our people is more important. So all people have been called back. And
Right.
they also understand, Iranians also understand, under these circumstances, India cannot endanger its citizens. So it has been
Right.
entrusted, I believe. I'm not aware of it exact because this all has happened after my 10 years. So, but I
Right.
conclude that India has entrusted to some other local company.
Okay.
So, and once things are normal, and India will bounce back. There is no problem in that.
Right. So this was a very, I must say, you gave us a historical overview that we possibly wouldn't have had from anyone on the port and its significance, and how it is more of a geopolitical matter rather than only commercial matter for India. Thank you so much for talking to us and sparing your crucial time. We hope that things normalize in Chabahar port and India is back, Indians are back, and the port starts to function the way it was functioning before the strikes. Thank you, and keep watching India Abroad. We'll keep bringing you more such interviews and in depth conversations with the dignitaries and geopolitical experts from across the world.